Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and today got a couple things to talk about. First off, we got a couple new head coaches, or I guess technically three. Technically, you could say four, but we got some new head coaches that have been announced. And so just kind of looking at those first. We got Urban Meyer going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so I got a chance to listen to his interview or press conference and the owner as well. I'll say this overall before I get into individuals. And I've said this year after year. The whole coaching thing is a little, I wouldn't say silly, but there's sometimes silly decisions. I rarely ever pay attention to fans talking about stuff because they have no idea. But then you go into the owners and them making decisions, and that's where things get just a little silly to me because the pipeline is always weird. Like, you have coaches that have done nothing to show you that they could be head coaches. I wouldn't say nothing, at least to our eyes. We're on the outside looking in. And that's why I try to trust that these organizations have talked with people that have told you they have the, prerequisite skills and everything. But over the years, it's kind of shown that most organizations, they don't. They just go with the name or whatever it says on the resume. And so, whoa, my offense was this good. Okay, cool. And then the recent trend has been way worse of, oh, I worked with this quarterback. Okay, you should be a head coach. That makes no sense. Like, a coordinator being good with a unit does not at all translate to them being a head coach. It just doesn't. And then, obviously, we have a little bit of push with the college ranks as well, which a lot of times I don't get, especially with these really young coaches that have done not much, A, and then B, they aren't really trained to translate that to the NFL. And so we've all seen how most college coaches end up in the NFL. And so it's just always a weird time. And I'm not saying there's no way to find good head coaches. There are, but a lot of times it's not the quote unquote sexy pick. Like, for the last 3 or 4 years, it has not been cool or okay. It's been taboo to get a defensive coach. Like, you got to get an offensive coordinator. You got to get a hot young offensive coordinator. And it was just silly. But, even before then, getting a special teams coordinator is like, wait, what are you doing? Or even a team interviewed Gerard Mayo, who's a position coach. He's an inside linebackers coach for the Patriots, obviously former player. And that's still iffy to me for different reasons. But a lot of people will be like, whoa, you can't do that. That person can't be a head coach. And so, people have always done that. Like, you coordinate really good on one side, then that must mean you're ready to be a head coach. It has nothing to do with each other. It has nothing to do with each other. And so those skills, a lot of times, are found in people that are very different. And honestly, like, Bill Belichick didn't even play football. A lot of times, what the head coach has to do has little to do with football. And so, but people can't really ever understand that. But anyway, so Urban Meyer, the Jags got him. I wouldn't have, I'll say this, I wouldn't have denied him an interview or anything, but he definitely wouldn't been my number one clear-cut pick. Like, we knew for a while the Jags was targeting him. He was thinking about the Jags. He's friends with the owner, or at least friendly over the last few years. Been on his boat, and like, from what, if you believe the reporters, it was pretty much a done deal. That was the only person they wanted. And so that is a little too much for me for a guy who has never coached in the NFL. And there's the whole discussion about college coaches and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that. We know that. But what I will say is I did get a little feeling from that, or at least in that realm, when I was listening to Urban Meyer speak. And again, it's not that he can't do it, but I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people point out is that college coaches don't realize the difference in how they can treat players. And really the only coach we know of in this era that has that type of my way or the highway approach is Bill Belichick, because he has the resume to back it up. But then a lot of people are like, okay, well, look at him now. The team, is what it is. Now, I still think the team is extremely well coached. But, I'm not going to get into that. But still, you don't have many coaches that can talk to players like that. They're grown men. And so Urban Meyer and what he was saying, not that I disagree with it, but a lot of it, the way he was saying it and what he was saying, I'm like, oh, no, that's that college talk. Like, he really talked in this my way or the highway type thing. And again, it's not that I disagree that you have to put the team first or that you got to be committed to winning and all these things, but it ain't just that simple blanket statement. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable. You play for Jacksonville, you play for that logo, or you get out of here. It's not going to be like that in the NFL. It is not that simple. A, with the players, and then B, with the rest of the organization. Now, Shad Khan, to his credit, because I always say this, no GM should be over a coach. He got the coach first, A, and he talked a lot about this being a coach-centric team organization where the coach sets up everything. And I agree with that. And so he's got the support, but most teams, that is not going to fly. You can say all that, all you want, and even with this team, it'll be interesting because Trevor Lawrence is going to be the face. And so what happens if all of a sudden halfway through or 1 year, Urban's like, no, Trevor's not performing the standards, or he's not the type of leader I want. I want to make a move, or I want to put him on the bench. Or let's say Trevor plays really well and then he's a diva and Urban Meyer doesn't like that. Like, how much power does he really have? Usually in the NFL, you're not going to have that much power when it comes to star players. So it just seems like, okay, he's a little delusional. So we will see how that works out. It was an interesting pick. I don't necessarily think that would have been the route I would have went, but there we are. So Robert Saleh goes to the New York Jets. Interesting. And some people think if they had the number 1 pick, it would have been a different coach. And again, even, as a Chicago Bears fan, I have to listen to that many times. People talking about Nagy as if he's Mitchell's personal quarterback coach. I'm like, that's not what he's hired to do. And so I don't like that philosophy anyway, but either way, the Jets go with him. And again, I mean, it's hard for me to say. I know I'm kind of talking about it, but it's hard for me to say. And really, that's the best answer from anybody in the media that doesn't cover the 49ers and from anybody that's not part of the 49ers. Like, all these people trying to pull these different things that don't connect, and they're trying to connect dots that don't connect. It just, okay, yes, they had a good defense. That means nothing as far as translating to him as a head coach. And even if they did have a great defense, you don't know exactly what parts he did to go into what. All people know is like, oh, he looks like it's a lot of, and that stuff's rooted in racism, but I ain't gonna get into it. But a lot of this, they look the part, and like that don't mean anything. Belichick don't look the part, and he a head coach. So a lot of that, we'll see. I try to listen to player testimonies and those different things. But the fact of the matter is, if you had no experience running that organization as like the lead guy, it's going to be brand new to you. So it'll be interesting to see who he brings in on the offensive side. If maybe they announced it, I don't know yet. But I think it's nice at least to get a shot at it, especially a guy that comes from the D-line. You don't see that a lot. I'm partial to the D-line. And so also, You got a unit with some talent, but not the talent and the investment that the 49ers put on that D-line. So it will be interesting to see kind of how they go about that. But I don't know. I think the Jets, I don't know. I'll be interested to see the press conference. But from what I understand, it just seems like they want some energy over there. They want some guys. They want a team that's going to fly around, and they want to have some energy. And that seems to be what everybody talks about with Robert Saleh. Then you had the Falcons take the Titans, or former Titans offensive coordinator. I believe his name was Arthur Smith. I'm not. Oh, there it is. The Falcons, yeah. So they got Arthur Smith. Now, again, I don't know a whole lot about his ins and outs, but obviously a lot of people go to the job happening with Titans. And to me, it's weird because didn't LaFleur get like, it's the same thing. It was kind of like the Rams, like, well, I guess this happens a lot, but it was like the Rams to me, where it was like, okay, whoever was the OC with Sean McVay got a job. And then the next OC, oh, they're going to get a job too. It's like, okay, well, come on now. Obviously, if the team was good in both iterations, it wasn't just, or the unit, it wasn't just because of that coordinator. So Derrick Henry, Tannehill, what they were able to do, that kind of came off what LaFleur set up as well when he was there with the Titans. And so, and even really before that, to be honest with you, with Munchak and the other ones, like that philosophy that they do with the run game has kind of been there. But either way, so Arthur Smith's the next one. That feels a little weird to me. If we're playing the game of the media and how we pick head coaches, it feels a little weird to me that you get the guy from Tennessee, where I don't know that anything special was shown. And we know how Mike Vrabel is. We know, like, and that's kind of in that Robert Saleh is what people think of. But we know how they kind of built their team and their philosophy. But as far as, like, just Arthur Smith's part, I don't know that I see anything special or different that would warrant, like, yo, we got to get him. But again, it's not just about what you can do X's and O's with your unit. Your head coaching job is about much more. So I would have to believe, as I tend to try to do, that in the interviews they saw something that showed he can do those things. Now, the guy, and I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but the OC for Buffalo Bills, that's one I thought would have more heat right now. And, of course, Eric Bieniemy. Not to say they didn't. They've interviewed with people. But that's probably, without meeting these people, that's the one I'd be intrigued by. And not because he fixed Jared Allen or Josh Allen. I keep saying that. And a lot of people are going to keep saying that it's not 100% true. But he was there for the transformation. That's very valuable information, I think. And then he's been very flexible with the offense. And so that's not just the offense of unit performing. That's what you're having them do. And having Diggs come in. And this also, and this is why one thing is never true. Multiple things are true at once. That goes in part with Josh Allen's transformation. But still, you had to change the offense up a little bit, bringing in Diggs. Obviously, Josh Allen not really being an NFL quarterback his first few years, you had to figure out a way to make that work. They've been creative. They've gotten good production in different ways. So that creativity, that flexibility, that information being around a quarterback, really seeing them transfer themselves and seeing how that development goes. And then his background with Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, really being around organizations and having information, or you would think, about how to run a successful organization. That's the type of stuff that would intrigue me about him as far as this complete package. And so it's interesting to me to see some of these other people who have got shot so far. But yeah, that would have probably been my pick. So we'll see what he does. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Obviously, they had kind of a string of defensive guys there. And funny enough, the defense was the thing that was lacking the whole time. And now they're going to try to go a different approach. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of is in store for the Falcons. And then lastly, Dan Campbell is reportedly the favorite for the new Lions coach job, but he has to wait till the Saints are out. So Dan Campbell is the assistant head coach and tight ends coach for the Saints. Now, and again, this is more so what makes sense to me. The guy from Buffalo, as I said, some of those things that you point out. Dan Campbell has been an assistant coach and very close with Sean Payton throughout these times. And so that's what you got to look for. Now, what I will say is some of those titles aren't always there. Like, people recently get fixated on run game coordinator and passing game. Like, that stuff's always been there, but it's not always known to fans. And so people have gotten fixated on that stuff recently. But, you know, coaches have different responsibilities sometimes you don't know about. But assistant head coach obviously speaks for itself, and what that entails of being at least so involved that you have that title with the day-to-day operations. And so, and again, that a lot of that stuff comes out in interviews. Like, some coaches are really heavily involved in planning practice, even though they're not the head coach. And so things like that are things you need to find out. Does your candidate have to kind of translate over to the head coaching position? And so this will be interesting. If I'm not mistaken, he was really involved when Sean Payton was on a suspension. I'm not 100% sure that's him, but I feel like he's been a long-time assistant head coach. But whenever you got guys like that, I 100% am for. I mean, I'm for everybody, but I'm for them getting their shot at seeing what they can do because they've had experience directly related to the position. So we'll see if that's who the Lions go with. But that'll be very interesting. If I'm not mistaken, no, their GM they hired was from St. Louis. Somebody else is hiring one of the Saints front office people. But so we'll see how that kind of works out. All right. What else we got? Tua. This is something I want to talk about when it first came around, but it wasn't enough other news. But we'll talk about it now. So Tua, there was an article that came out in, I believe, the Miami Herald. Yeah. And so this writer says that he has, I believe, 3 anonymous players on the Miami Dolphins that pretty much said they are not sure that they have faith in Tua to become, you know, that type of franchise quarterback. And now they didn't go bash him completely, but they were just kind of saying back in training camp or like, you know, when the league kind of got started, they were like, they didn't really see anything special about him or have any special trait. And then they said when Fitzmagic got benched, everybody was shocked and a lot of people didn't like it. And then they said watching Tua play, they was like, we don't know that he has it. They say he's a good guy, cool dude, good teammate, but they don't know if he has the arm ability to succeed in the NFL. And so that is very interesting. And now, obviously, a lot of people dismiss that as just rumor or fake, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, players do this. I mean, anonymous sources do this. And it's not, especially for reputable paper, it's not smart for any writer to completely make something up. Because if you get caught on that, your career is over. And so, not to say that it can't be fake, but I take it at face value with a grain of salt. So, what they said, though, isn't out of the realm of possibility. We know factually that some players had their feelings about the whole Fitzmagic thing. We know obviously the team has had their own feelings because they put Tua on the bench multiple times at the end of the game, and we've seen Tua struggle. Now, I don't know why, but in those first few games, people were going nuts. And I went to the film and watched it, and I talked about what I felt and what I saw because I was confused why everybody was like chanting Tua. I'm like, I don't see anything on film. Like, what is so great? He's not doing anything difficult. And so as time went on, we see Tua start to struggle. And so, you know, a team that won 10 games, they want to get to the playoffs. That would change a lot for them. And so obviously they're probably not happy with how things went down. And they probably feel they had a better chance with Fitzmagic. And we all saw that Tua didn't have a great, outing. But the question at hand about him not being able to turn around. Now, what I'll say is this. Two things. Number one, I was not a huge fan of Tua in the draft process. A lot of people were going crazy, and they really had him highly regarded. I did not see it. I was not as enthusiastic as everybody else. Had I been Miami at that spot, I would not have taken Tua. Not just, I would have went after Justin Herbert or any of that. I just wouldn't have taken Tua. That was way too high for me to take Tua because I think there was going to be a learning curve. And again, I do the draft stuff, and my draft stuff's coming up. But I always tell you there's a part that I don't get to be in, and that's that face-to-face. I felt better about Justin Herbert, but I still thought he had a learning curve. But obviously, he really learned fast. And that's something that you probably have to be able to get when you talk to them person to person. And so if they felt that Tua had what it takes to mentally handle that, okay, but physically, I was not excited about where he was. And so that's that. But number two, he's just a rookie. I don't care what teams do. People act like just because teams and owners do something, it's like the truth or it's the right thing. Just because everybody's throwing rookies in there or saying it's been 1 year, you're a bust, that doesn't make it right. It's been the same thing since the dawn of time with not the dawn of time, but the dawn of football. Conventional wisdom is still the same. These players need time to develop, especially today where the college game is so absurdly watered down that they need time to develop. And doing this comparison of, this person did this and that person did this, is useless and futile because they're different human beings. Most of them will need time. Even when they do pretty good, a Baker Mayfield, you see the regressions, you see the fluctuations because A, they need time, but B, we quick to judge everybody every 2 seconds. Oh, he's great. Oh, he had a bad game. Oh, he's horrible. Oh, he's great. Oh, he's a bust. Like just let it marinate. Let us see what they are. It takes time to see what they are. It always has. So just let it go. But this does show what we already knew, and that's these players see what we see. And if you were somebody that was in denial about Tua, I think this is further food for thought as far as about where he is right now. That doesn't mean he can't get there. So this kind of leaves credence to this whole talk that Tua might be out of Miami, trade bait, or they might bring somebody in to compete with him. So we'll see. And then real quick, this is real quick. If you haven't heard, Von Miller is being investigated for he's under a criminal investigation. They did not disclose any details. They said they will let him know once if charges are brought. Hopefully it's nothing and it was a mistake, because that'd be a sad ending to a guy that kind of has curtailed off at the end, and I would hate to see that. I don't like any of these players being villains, so hopefully that stuff works out. And then lastly, just a quick playoff prediction. I didn't get to do mine last week. I think everybody, I had Buffalo winning. I thought it'd be close, but I didn't think they would lose. Saints had them beating the Bears. Tampa had them winning. Cleveland, I gave them a chance, but I thought Pittsburgh might pull it out. But we all saw what happened with Cleveland. I knew they had a chance, though. Some people were saying, like, they had no chance. I'm like, still got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and, most of the offensive weapons. So even though the defense is a little hurt, you still got Myles Garrett. So I thought they had a chance, but, things went wild. Baltimore, I thought Tennessee was going to win close. But obviously a lot of people had Baltimore favorite. But I definitely thought it'd be a game, and it pretty much was. And then the Rams versus Seahawks, that was a mess. That was a mess. We didn't know who the quarterback was to the kickoff. Like, it was a whole mess. So I kind of stayed away from that. But anyway, this week, Green Bay, LA, Green Bay walking away. Yeah, definitely 100%. Buffalo, Baltimore is the one. That's the one where I'm like, man. But I take Buffalo. They're home. And really the thing is, to me, is on the Baltimore defense. If Baltimore allows Josh Allen to stay upright and make plays, and they put up 10 points, 17 points, 14 points, it's over. Baltimore's not coming back from that. This is not the Titans. If they go down 2 scores, it's going to be a long game for them. Kansas City, Cleveland. I don't hate Cleveland in this, but definitely taking Kansas City. And New Orleans, Tampa. I'm taking the Saints in a close one, but I definitely give a toss-up. I give the chance for Tampa Bay to win this 100%. So pretty much chalk, but really Buffalo, Baltimore, New Orleans, Tampa, those are the ones where I'm really like, that'll be a game. So that's what I'm thinking of. All right, that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. And thank you for listening.